in between the static. There it is, in between the static. It is faint at first, very deep in the hiss, but after you hear it, after you know it's there, it becomes so loud you want to cover your ears and scream. I can sound the words out for you, but see, that's it. We never got the romanization down. It sounds like Iptakokoia breg Idetodes Vagodet. But there are also images in the snow. Ones beyond the bisected face and blank eyes that see in dimensions our scientists can only dream about in the static. I have seen across the universe spindly stick figures with no noticeable head and arms that bow out, reach almost to their pointed feet. Diamond storms that rip the skin off ugly dog things scavenging in a pure white desert. I've seen former colleagues from the mountain. I wonder if they were taken or they were given. Mole and Edgar's dying slow, asphyxiated deaths on the barely air of some blank and purple alien planet. Lots of experiments. I mean, a lot of experiments. June, Bledsoe, Schwartz, Candelo, Ronnie, others. Vivisection, of course. Hours of it. No anesthetic. But they don't die or pass out. Dying is for later. Dying is for the bioweapon testing using diseases we should not have had to worry about encountering for centuries. Candelo is ripped apart by mold. Just a few airborne spores, and in days it was growing everywhere. Skin bulged, eyes bulged, couldn't close his mouth because it grew on his tongue. Then he just burst, blossomed into a bloody hill of deeply grooved fungi. Gases, artificial gravity, operation tests, brain surgeries, amputations, organ transplants with strange creatures as donors. Unit 731 stuff. Hours of experiments in the static. Hours in minutes. They have this way of folding information like a note folded into a arms that wrap around whatever's keeping them out. Sometimes they make me watch. Sometimes my cabin fills with burning light. When it fades, I've lost time, and there they are, watching me. Eventually, I just stopped. No more locks, no barricades. I just sit and I wait. But not tonight. No, not tonight. I'm making them work for it. When the static screams and the voices come on, I don't think. Just run to the door and slip outside. Finally wiping the tears from my eyes, I look up. Jesus, there's so many of them. They don't look like they should be able to fly. It's all weird angles and counterintuitive designs. In space, it doesn't matter, I guess. Here, though, they should be falling out of the sky. Back at the mountain, we could use the internal tech, but the design was too radical. People would get suspicious. Things would change. Completely silent, they hover just barely visible against the glow. I heard a noise and I started to head for the woods. They've been here for a long time. We've gotten some things from them, technology mostly, obviously, but it's like beads from Manhattan. We always knew that we weren't in the driver's seat. Always knew how it would end, you know. You've seen the things they can do, even if you don't realize it's them. See, they can level buildings like they're made of balsa wood. They slip in between. I don't know what to call it. Dimensions, realities. They go and they rip the tiniest piece apart, and on our side, the whole thing comes down. They can do it to the whole city. To any city. August 9th, 1945 was not a bomb. That was a simple mimicry. The last light of dusk is almost gone. I didn't bring a flashlight. I thought it would draw too much attention to me. Now I'm just barely trotting, groping in front of me with one hand and keeping the other on the nearest tree trunk. This was so stupid, they're going to catch me. I'm just drawing it out. They found me here after I left the mountain. The other side of the country in the middle of nowhere. It was a simple message. I'm not going to tell anyone. It didn't matter. I looked back and watched the edge of the forest. My heart beat so loud they could probably find me just by following the thumps. A tall pillar of bug zapper blue light flicks on where my cabin is. It moves so slowly it takes me a while to even realize it's gotten closer. reveling in its presence. It is the only thing I'm really aware of. Closer, closer, closer. I can see the outline of the thick V-shaped head that juts back half a foot in fat tumor-like bobes. At the apex of each lance is its fleshed-over eyes, wide and dense and long, brows holding in small lakes of a thin membrane. There is an eye similar to ours underneath the skin. I know I've done autopsies. They just don't need it anymore. It's talking to me now. Cooing, singing, song layered words, packed with image and smell and sound. Destruction, charred flesh, crying babies. The static is deafening. Holocaust fast and slow, some die in flames and quakes of reality. In molecular disease, while others die in camps, farms, zoos, and labs. They're holes in the sky. One of them come exterminating angels, servants of a distant and inconceivable Lord. Nobody does anything. Nobody tries to stop them. It's above me. I think I hear my sobs over the words. It raises its six-fingered hand and the digits slither forward. The digits slither forward. Two of them, vaguely warm with life, glide over my face, up my cheeks. They flatten and slowly go over my eyelids, under the ball, and back, coiling around the optic nerve. Two more up each nostril. The fingers divide, sending tributaries into my sinuses and down into my lungs. They atomize, passing through membrane and cell walls to get to my nervous system and brain. I'm completely absorbed, translated into something intangible that they can send through the air into the ships above. They don't have to do this. There are other ways. I wake up on the floor of the white room. I hope it won't be this. Prayed it wasn't always, but for the past few months it mostly was. There's Ronnie Stedler, cradled in her chair, made from a kind of rubbery satin. She was one of the few women at the mountain. Not pretty, but pretty enough and funny. If we had gotten together before, I would have been a lucky man. They've always had their way. You know, with everyone, with everything, they get their way. They change into many forms, ideas, perspectives. They already put a suit on me like a second skin. The suit keeps all my danders and oils in. You wouldn't know I was wearing it unless I touched you and you felt the thin plastic dermis. I get up, the suit tightens and loosens visions of her still float up to my brain, and I have to push them out any way I can. But when I'm with her, I can deal with it. I gently touch her arm. Oh, there's a muffled snorting and sucking sound from inside her. The upper row of teeth at what used to be the back of her head jostles a bit in the tongue that hangs down under the lower set, squirms against the base of her skull. She tries to turn her useless and hidden eyes to me. It's just me, Ronnie. She raises a shaking hand and I softly take it. It hurts her, I think, even this limp, light touch. I want them to take me back soon, but I want them to let me stay here with them forever. It is quite a conundrum. I watch her blood flow. It was perfect and not a drip or seep as it ran along the outside of her veins to her heart, thick with red muscle. Nestled between her lungs, rocking softly with each breath and each bump. My eyes trace the veins and arteries that make her exposed body into a roadmap. The quiet biological noise of her organs and her strangled breathing are the only sounds in the white cell. I still don't understand how she breathes. I sit see every television and radio blaring static like an air raid siren. 8 billion fathers cursing and flicking